Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, Impulse MTG. And here today we've got a breakdown of the draft deck that I drafted yesterday at Fanfare. I went 3-0 with the deck. It was pretty good value here. Pretty nice deck. There's some cards that I'm really learning to love in this format. And we'll go over the cards I have, the breakdown of the deck as far as composition, and some of the notable things that happened in some of my matches that led to being 3-0. I won a foil F&M prize pack. Here's the cards, no hits. Stroke of Midnight foil is very nice. Leaf Crown Visionary is a nice card. Sentinel of Lost Lore has been getting some play in Standard in this early season. We'll see if that holds up. But onto the deck, you'll see immediately I've got 3 copies of Hopeless Nightmare, and a lot of the times I was trimming down to, after the game 1, I was trimming down to 1 copy of Hopeless Nightmare and bringing one of these in. I brought this guy in for a third. Sky Beast Tracker in my last match. This guy had a lot of flyers. Sky Beast Tracker is just really good because the flyers rely on you not being able to block them and tempo, and not only can you block them, but when you cast any of these spells up here on the high end of the curve, you get a food token, and the life gain just removes their tempo entirely. Another thing that removes tempo entirely is Hamlet Glutton. 2 copies of Hamlet Glutton with Hopeless Nightmare. That's just an insane amount of value. Just so many things going off at the same time. You're scrying 2, you're making the 6/6 trample, you're gaining 3 life, and it already made him discard and lose 2 life. You know, you get that card for 1 mana. It's really great. My deck was kind of average going into the last pack, but third pack pick one, the Knight of Sweet's Revenge, and this card is just an absolute maniac. It gives you the food token, and people are like, well, I mean, for 4 mana, all it does is give you a food token right there. But that food token immediately taps for a green, and any food tokens you had on the field when you play this are now tapping for a green. And there were many times when I played Knight of Sweet's Revenge with 2 food tokens on the table, make a third one, tap all 3 of them, and make another play right there. And now, whenever they decide to swing out, they can't, because unless they kill you on the spot, you can sacrifice Knight of Sweet's Revenge and kill them on the way back. And that was my first pick from Pack 3. My second pick from Pack 3 was a past Mosswood Dread Knight. Very, very fortunate. I was already in green-black. And then my third pick, Pack 3, was Bane Troll. Rare. Very good. I mean, neither of those 2 are just like amazing game-ending, deal with me or lose the game bombs. Bane Troll can be very devastating if you have a lot of ways to put enchantments on them. I've only got a couple of ways. You can see the Ferocious Werefox here. But yeah, other than that, the deck's just a bunch of really solid playables. We've got 1 copy of Candy Grapple that plays well with Hopeless Nightmare. We have 2 copies of Welcome to Sweet Tooth. I mean, if you've got a decent amount of food in your deck, you should be taking this high. They were both passed to me, and the kind of mid-pack pack 1, and I was very happy to get these. They go in just any deck that can make food, or if you got some of the food artifacts. What I kind of, think I wish I would have done was play 2 Hopeless Nightmare and 1 Candy Trail. I like Candy Trail a lot. It counts toward your food count for things like Knight of Sweet's Revenge and Welcome to Sweet Tooth. But I've got 6 bargain cards, and these with bargain is just insane. So yeah, we got Candy Grapple, 2 Welcome to Sweet Tooth, a little ramp with Root Rider Fawn. I like that card a lot. It ramps or it can fix. 1 copy of Troublemaker Oof to go along with the Nightmares. That's just devastating. Some food synergy creatures here. We got Hollow Scavenger, Sweet Tooth Witch, and we've got Feed the Cauldron, which I like a lot. I'm liking more and more as time goes on, especially when you got a bunch of big top end like this. You swing in with your Hamlet Glutton. They try to team block them. You feed the Cauldron, kill one of them. Their other 1 or 2 creatures get trampled over and die. Your Hamlet Glutton lives, and you make a food token for your shovels. Perhaps a card that I'm going to start taking a lot higher if I see it in this is Garruk's Uprising. Just an absolutely insane value card. I did have a copy of Up the Beanstalk, and I decided to play Garruk's Uprising, and I did not regret it. There are some 4-drop creatures here that can trigger Garruk's Uprising, which wouldn't have, and they would not have triggered Up the Beanstalk. And then to round out the 3-drop slot, we've got Return to the Wilds, which is another great card. Fixes your mana, gets you up to 5 mana on turn 4, so you can start dropping these beasts. Then you get your choice between a food or a 1/1. You can always make a food and a 1/1, but I don't see myself ever doing that over getting the land. But the food or the 1/1 was kind of back and forth depending on how the hand was going. We got Ferocious Werefox. The fact that it's instant speed, I think, makes it a very good middle to late pack pickup. I already went over the Fonzbane Troll. He's amazing. These guys were pretty clutch for me as well. Sky Beast Trackers, just because I went up against quite a few decks with flyers, and these guys take care of that very well. And again, once you start casting these 5-drops, he starts paying you back. Say you bargain out Hamlet Glutton with a food, he pays the food right back, and they play right into Knight of Sweet's Revenge. With you make a couple of food off of 1 or 2 of these guys from casting these, and all of a sudden Knight of Sweet's Revenge is just threatening lethal at any point. Here on the top end, we've already went over the double Hamlet Glutton, probably one of the, if not the best common in the format. Beanstalk Worm helps you get up to your 5-drops a little faster, a little bit of ramp if you've got the lands in your hand. Plus he shuts down flyers, and he's just a big body. Scream Puff, he's just super nasty with the Ferocious Werefox because they think they're going to block and trade. All of a sudden, no, you're not. And he's got an extra power. He tramples over your guys, kills both your guys, and makes me a food token. That's great. We've got Agatha's Champion, super amazing, again, with the Hopeless Nightmares. And Shatter the Oath, another way to put another enchantment on Fonzbane Troll and kill their best thing. So for the cards that I didn't start in the main, we went over Candy Trail, and I think that might have been a better call than Hopeless Nightmare because the other food stuff will also benefit from Candy Trail because it does count as a food. Curse of the Werefox, I've kind of, you know, it's hard to play Curse of the Werefox into open mana because you don't want to get 2 for 1, and I've got Candy Grapple, I've got the Fonzbane Troll, I've got Agatha's Champion, Feed the Cauldron. I didn't want to go with too much removal, if there is such a thing in Limited, but I think there is, especially when the removal is creature, having a creature dependent, whereas the other ones are, you know, not as susceptible to a blowout in the form of I kill your creature and I get rid of your spell. You know, if you lose a food token to play Agatha's Champion and then they kill the champion with the fight on the stack, they really only 1 for 1 you. So I think I had just enough removal that I didn't have to run a riskier removal spell. When I have a bit slower deck like this with a big top end like that, I like Territorial Witchstalker, but as you can see, my 2-drop was already clogged up with things that I absolutely needed, so I was able to not play him. Prism, very good color fixer and very good for bargain because, you know, you can fix your mana early, it draws you a card so it replaces itself, so your bargain is essentially, you know, you don't lose any card advantage to bargain. Royal Treatment, I did side that in one time against a deck that had a lot of removal, and it ended up being a very amazing with the Fonzbane Troll because I was able to put another enchantment on him after fighting. And Up the Beanstalk, this is a great card. I don't quite think that this is the deck for Up the Beanstalk. If I didn't have Garruk's Uprising, I probably would have played it because it's good for bargain. You know, you play it out, draw your card, kind of like Prismatic Prism. And if you play another 5 mana spell, draw a card, and then bargain it after that, you've gotten a lot of good value. But again, I just had too much good stuff with bargain here. I already had Garruk's Uprising, more card advantage with Mothwood Dread Knight. I didn't feel like another card advantage source with the Beanstalk would be worth it. I did not play Collector's Vault. My deck was already not slow, or not fast, so I didn't want to slow it down with Collector's Vault. I think Collector's Vault can be a very good card, though. That being said, this was my pack 1 pick 1, Questing Druid, and I did draft an Evolving Wilds, and I have the Prism, but I ended up feeling like stretching to 3 colors just wasn't worth it. I didn't have enough stuff in red that he was actually worth the splash. We got a promo Drown in the Lock retro foil for playing. They handed that out of the thanks for coming and playing promo. Very cool. I want to try to get a play set of those. And, you know, notable things that happened in the matches. In the last round, Mosswood Dread Knight took home one of the games. He and I were both flooding out, and I drew the Dread Knight with like 8 or 9 mana on the table and used him to draw a card, played him out. Next turn attacked in, traded with something, adventured him, drew another card, played him back out, and then that was pretty much the next 3 turns, 4 straight turns. I was attacking in, trading with something, drawing a card, and I just valued him out in that game. And he came up big in another game with the ability to just draw, play him, draw him, play him, draw, play him, you know. So he took a couple of games home on his own. Fawnsbane Troll was solid all night. He did get removed in response to the activation one time, but it's still just a 1-for-1, so it's not that bad. They kill your Fawnsbane Troll, and they don't have the removal for Hamlet and Glutton, who can close out the game really quickly. Knight of Sweet's Revenge was good all night, but it did win me one game when there was a board stall. I think the other guy just swung in because he realized, you know, I would have swung in on the next turn and activated this and then swung in, and he would have to block and lose pretty much all his creatures for nothing. And I think what he was hoping was that I just wouldn't see the play to activate and swing out and win. I mean, that was his only out at that point. It's not really much of an out, but you might as well play to your outs. And then in that same round, I went turn 1 this, turn 5 this, turn 6 another one of these, and then another one of these. And you know, his hand was empty, and he was staring down 2 6/6 tramples, and that was just it. So yeah, I mean, it was a good deck. I went 3-0. It was a fun draft. I'm having a lot of fun in this limited format so far. The only thing, I don't really like how some of those Enchanting Tales enchantments can come down and just dominate a game. We saw that in Brothers War with the artifact bonus sheet. How sometimes games are just determined by, hey, you know, I got this Wormcoil Engine. I mean, I was the beneficiary of Wormcoil Engine. Just straight up drafting it and dropping it in half my games, and he just wins the game on his own. It takes away a little bit of the, you know, suspense of in a form of, hey, I just dropped Grave Pact, and if you don't have enchantment removal, there's no way you can win. So I don't really like that. But other than that, and with that being said, I still think it's a very fun format. I like Eldraine. I like the flavor of the set. I think it's a little bit over the top with the cutesy stuff with the food. I do like the art on the stab wound. I like the guy's got the jelly donut impaled, and he's got jelly gushing out of his belly. So yeah, leave a comment with what cards you like from Eldraine, what art. Tell me how you feel about this limited format, and until the next video.